Here's what you can look forward to on this episode of The Nice Guys on Business.
But ultimately, our goal, and some people might be familiar with Neighborly, our goal is to build a newer, fresher, better version of Neighborly, a brand that has a whole bunch of home service brands inside of it with a lot of franchisees all over the country. But we really believe that what we're doing is built best for the next generation of homeowners who want better communication, they want craftsman work, and they want to work with brands they can actually connect with.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss the nice guys on business. I'll have what the nice guys on business are having. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, Nice Guy community, pick a business, learn to be the best at it, document, duplicate, and be the best in the country. Now, that's what Steve Montgomery and his partners did, and the results are astounding. The nation's fastest growing franchises, I love this, ResiBrands, house painting, garage renovation, window cleaning, and beyond, turning boring into wowing. Let's talk about his journey. Steve, welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Hey, thanks. I'm excited.
I didn't even ask you this before I hit record. Do you go by Steve or Steven?
Steven, but either's fine.
Okay. See, Nice Guy community, you can screw up at the very beginning and still win somebody over. So I promise now I'm going to spend the next 29 minutes trying to win you back, Stephen. I apologize.
It's all right.
All right. So the first thing that I noticed, I went over to Instagram because for me, I'm not saying anything about you or negatively getting any information at all, other than when I get a bio from somebody, of course, it's going to be chock full of all of the greatest things that this person accomplished. And your team did a great job of doing exactly what they should do. They sent me all the greatest things. And then I go over your Instagram page and I'm like, oh, we're what do you call it? We buried the lead in that bio, because one of the things I saw on IG was that you post the days when you have like our $613,000 day, our $680,000 day. Yeah. That's the stuff I want to talk about. Can we start right there?
Sure.
All right. So let's talk about this. 600,000, a six-figure day. Tell me what that feels like, what that looks like. Take me into your team, because these guys are high-fiving. It's such a team environment.
Yeah. So what you saw was our sales-a-thon. And so we have these days, we do them, I don't know, 3-4 times a year, about quarterly. We do a sales-a-thon. And so we have all of our franchise locations from all over the country, all focused that day on following up with estimates and leads that they hadn't been able to close. And we have a lot of fun with it. It's like a live call. All the franchisees are on throughout the day. They're bouncing in and out. They're on a chat, and we're just reporting sales throughout the whole day. We offer some discounts. We offer some different things to generate sales. But we have more than that. Like, we have a lot of fun with it. So we're sending our customers, selfie videos saying, hey, today's the day, let's close a deal. Or we're sending them screenshots of our reviews compared to our competitors, and showing them that we're the top rated in the city or whatever. And we're doing all this fun stuff. Or if it's a customer we haven't heard from a while, we'll send them a ghost emoji and say, hey, don't ghost me. Let's talk about that painting project. And so we just do a lot of fun stuff, and we'll generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in a single day for revenue for our franchisees from our sales-a-thons. We also do some regionalized version of this where it's just one region. We'll call those Resi Boost. And those will also see anywhere from 100 to 400,000 in a day.
That's incredible. So I just want to get the process right here, so I can try to duplicate and do something fun like that with our sales team. But so do you actually have your prospective clients on the phone live, or you just have behind the scenes your whole sales team is live and they're kind of like silently cheering on the salesperson?
It's more of just like a group call and group chat between all the salespeople all across the country. Yeah. And so we're just, they jump on the call, they'll say, hey, I've got this customer, this is the project, and we'll give them feedback, or somebody will give them a creative idea for a follow-up, and then they go try it and then jump back on and report it. And so a lot of people just hang out on the call all day while they're doing sales and follow-up. So it's just kind of like an internal event that we do. And then what we're doing as well is on LinkedIn or on social media, we're just posting the results throughout the day.
I love it. I love it. What a great way to take a potentially stress-filled environment and just make it a fun team environment. And I appreciate the fact that I'm totally sales oriented. So anything that it takes, anything that you can do to help motivate the sales team. I mean, nothing happens until you sell something, right?
Exactly. And sales needs to be fun, man. Sales can get really discouraging. And so I think what keeps it from being so discouraging is when salespeople have camaraderie and they have a lot of fun doing what they're doing.
One of the things I remember when my kids were little, my kids are 28 and 31 right now, but one of the things I remember as my kids were growing up, we used to take these vacations at the beach, and we'd go past, and usually Ocean City, New Jersey was our place. I live in Cali now, but Ocean City, New Jersey was the place we vacationed. And when we would walk behind the boardwalk, generally the storefront, and then you see the back of the storefront, so you're seeing the loading dock, basically the doors that go up and down, those overhead doors, the doors that are kind of like elevators, let's say. They're just a piece of
Hmm.
equipment at the business that I said, that is the business to go into. The overhead door business, the loading dock door business, the pallet business, the
Yeah.
elevator business, the stuff that people take for granted, but that breaks and needs maintenance all the time. It's kind of how I see things like garage renovation, window cleaning, house painting. These aren't like sexy businesses, but they're needed by everybody. Everybody, unless the DIYer is going to do it on their own, they need somebody to come in and do that. Can you just talk about that for a moment and the importance of really boosting these boring brands, but really aren't boring. They're needed. They're just not exciting.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of boring business, but I'm a huge fan of home services. And I think that what we've noticed, and I think a lot of people are noticing right now, is that these businesses are actually super stable, right? Everybody wanted to own a coffee shop. Well, COVID hit and nobody wants to own a coffee shop anymore. Like it's just not as stable. It's high, it's expensive, and it's hard to own, and margins are thin, and they're not as stable of investments as people thought. And I think home services as a franchise owner for us, or if it's just anybody owning a business out there, these businesses are so vital to what we have going on in any given city. Like literally home services and the trades and blue collar workers literally hold our cities together. Like our cities would literally fall apart if they stopped doing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's valuable. I think it's valuable. And there should be a lot of dignity in the work that is being done by the actual craftsmen who are doing these jobs, but also for people who are looking to get into business. Like these are stable businesses to run, which are great.
You know, one of the things you just mentioned in that follow-up was that these are craftsmen. And I got to tell you, you may not think about this nice guy community, but think about the guy that's coming to wash your windows. If you've ever watched one of these people wash your windows, or house painting, if you have ever watched someone paint your house, you realize that they make it look so easy, but there is so much of an art involved in that. I'd love to get your
100%.
your spin on that.
Yeah. I mean, it is something that you'll see somebody do it and they do make it look easy, whether that's cleaning a window or whatever, but they've done it so many times, and that's why they're good at it. That's why they're fast at it. And the best ones, they take a lot of pride in what they do. I remember, so I started out as a painter. Like I started painting homes by myself in 2011 and kind of grew the business from there. But I remember like, I think a lot of tradesmen are going to relate to what I'm about to say, which is I remember I would paint all day, sometimes 8 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours. I had some massive projects back in the day that I would try to get done by myself. It was crazy. But I would remember I would go to bed, and as I'm falling asleep, what would be inside of my head was literally me painting a wall and like me trying to get the lines straighter. Like I would go to bed visualizing straighter, cleaner cut in lines. And so I think a lot of tradesmen are the same way, whether they're laying tile or whatever, some of that work that they're doing even at night, they're visualizing it being straighter and flawless. And so and that's when you know you have a real craftsman, is because they really care about doing the very best in their trade. I remember I used to even like get the lines really clear and really sharp when it was like in a part of the house that nobody was going to see, or it was like really high up and it didn't matter how great it looked up there. And it would still bother me if the line
Mm.
wasn't perfectly straight. There's a lot of guys out there that are like that. They're true craftsmen. They really just care about doing the job right.
on the other side of it, just know that I have a 77 Airstream, and my girlfriend and I are painting the inside of this Airstream, which is all, there's no corners, it's all round. Everything
Yeah.
everything in it is round, and it is the biggest pain in the ass to paint, because to try
Oh
to
yeah.
figure out how to make that cut look right, or make that corner look perfect, or make
Especially
sure
on
you,
rounded edges.
yeah, rounded edges, exactly. It's painting is one of those things that I want to get through. I just want to be done with it. I don't like it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to go to sleep and think about how to make straighter lines. What I want to think is, when can I move on to the next effing project in that Airstream, so I can do the plumbing or build a deck or something like that
That's
off of it.
awesome.
So for me, I can appreciate that.
Well,
I,
that's
I
where we come in, right? So
100%, 100%. For every craftsman that is doing what they need to do and doing it properly, there's a guy behind the scenes that supports that craftsman by doing the things like learning a little bit more about leadership, learning some sales skills to keep that craftsman busy. I noticed, again, going back to your IG page, is that John C. Maxwell is plastered all over, the king of leadership, all over your social media posts. Tell me
yeah.
about what leadership means to you, and whether it's through John or whether you're doing your own thing. I'm just curious, because it obviously it's important to your organization.
Yeah, John Maxwell was kind of a pivotal moment, was when I read 21 Laws of Leadership, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That book, at that time in my life, I had gotten myself out of the painting part of the job, and I had a couple crews. I had probably even 3 or 4 crews at that time running, but I was stuck there. I wasn't able to grow past that. And I read that book, and I realized that what I needed to do was work on my own personal leadership, and then the business would grow. And as I got better at recruiting and bringing on a team and training them, and casting vision for them to be successful within the business, then my business was able to scale rapidly. And we grew to being one of the largest painting companies in Texas. And then we started franchising, and now, we're one of the largest painting companies in the world. And that all helped happen because I changed my focus from just only the craft to then my focus being on the craft of leadership and team building and inspiring others to come along for the ride. And when I did that, that's when things really radically changed for me.
Excellent craftsmanship, excellent leadership, excellent sales skills,
Yep.
duplication, documentation. All of that leads to this franchise opportunity that's out there for your brand. So talk to my community for a moment, and I'm okay if you put your sales hat on. I'm okay if you just ask questions, or have answer questions. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just curious, like, tell me about ResiBrands, so that my community can be intrigued and maybe even want to talk to you more about what you do and how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So originally, like I said, it all started with me painting houses. I grew the company to being one of the largest painting companies here in Texas. And then really, I was starting to think, all right, I want to go to multiple cities. And so I started working on this business plan with a business coach. And he helped me write out this 5-year plan where we were going to launch new locations in 5 additional cities. And I started saving up to just launch of these new locations and everything, and was working on that. And then I read the book, The E-Myth, which is all about franchising. And I fell in love with it because it offered me the opportunity to coach and lead others, not just to build a giant hierarchy of employees. And I found a lot more purpose in that vision of franchising, where I could empower people, coach people to build their own painting business, and be a partner, really like a franchise partner, rather than just a big hierarchy of employees. And so I just fell in love with it. And so we launched a franchise system about maybe a year later. It took a while to get everything ready, all the manuals and all the legal and all that stuff. And then we launched it. And our goal at that time was to get to 20 franchisees. We thought, man, if we can get to 20 franchisees, like, this would be a sustainable, local brand. Maybe we were really just, our vision was just Texas and Oklahoma, really, like, in the beginning. And it went way faster than we thought. Like, it was a lot easier for us to sell franchises than we even thought it would be. And so we became the fastest growing painting franchise of like all time, and quickly just started scaling. And so much so that, like, I was looking at other home services and things, and I noticed a lot of the things that we were doing well with that one painter, they apply to almost every home service. And so I started working on an idea, and ultimately it became ResiBrands. Resi is short for residential, so it's residential brands. And so we launched Garage Up, which is our second brand that does, overhead garage doors, epoxy floors, and we also do some storage and whatnot. And then we acquired a brand called Pink's Window Services, and the founder stayed on as well, and they're partners in it now. And that's window cleaning, pressure washing, gutter cleaning, things like that. And so now we have 3 brands. We have 2 new brands we're going to launch here in about a month. As well, that we'll start posting about soon. But ultimately, our goal, and some people might be familiar with Neighborly, our goal is to build a newer, fresher, better version of Neighborly, a brand that has a whole bunch of home service brands inside of it with a lot of franchisees all over the country. But we really believe that what we're doing is built best for the next generation of homeowners who want better communication, they want craftsman work, and they want to work with brands they can actually connect with.
Steven, they say that success leaves clues, and I know you've had an opportunity now in developing as many franchisees as you have to find the ones that buy and are successful, and the ones that buy and we're wishing and hoping that you would just do everything for them. Can you share what equates to a successful franchisee?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a successful franchisee is somebody who wants to follow a system, but also wants to work and actually build something they're proud of. And so a franchise system does mean like, hey, the brand's developed, there's systems, there's procedures already there for you, there's marketing in place, there's a playbook for you. You just have to follow it and you'll be successful. And for those people who want to follow the process that's already proven, franchising is an amazing opportunity, but it doesn't mean that we will build a business for you. Some people call it like business in a box, and you have to open up the box and actually go, build or whatever. I like to think of it as like a tool belt. We hand our franchisees this tool belt, we hand them the blueprints, and then they have to build the business. And we as a good franchisor, we're also there to show up and coach them and show them how to do it even better. And then I like to joke like, hey, we found a better hammer. Can you hand me that old one? I'm going to give you this new hammer, right? And so we're always there to improve the system, give you better tools, give you better resources. Hey, we've got this new type of drywall and lumber we want you to try as you're building this thing, right? It's like but they're ultimately building that house. They're the one building that business. They get the blueprints, the tools, the resources, everything they need from us. But ultimately, it is being an entrepreneur. They have to build their business. It is their business in their city, and they're just using our system and our trademarks.
Well, you're saying that they need to build their system and their business, and I totally appreciate that and respect that. So, but I want to double click on that for just a quick second, because somebody that I'm not saying that you guys are McDonald's or even comparing you to McDonald's, but you open up a McDonald's and the business comes. When you open up a ResiBrand franchise, does someone expect that you're going to help them with lead gen, business development, market penetration? Is that all up to them, and then they're plugging into a system to actually build and renovate and fix and clean? Or tell me what that means to them.
Yeah, so we also have our own in-house marketing agency and our own call center and bookings service. And so we actually run ads locally for them, all their digital ads. We take care of that completely for our franchisees. So they're going to have leads, and they are going to even have us booking that straight onto their calendar for them through our service. But ultimately, I always say nobody wants to be a slave to the internet gods. Like Google and Facebook and leads from digital are all great, but we also are coaching our franchisees on, I call it the 5 R's of revenue, but it's things like repeat business. It's things like referrals and relationships with like real estate agents and roofers and all sorts of stuff like that. And so when you really get down to it, you really want to make sure you have franchisees who are either themselves or their team out there in the field, shaking hands. We call it in that one painter, we call it be the politician of paint. There's a lot of work to do in home services that isn't just, wait for a lead to show up from Google and then close the deal. That's a good portion of their business, but it's not the only part of their business. The other part of their business is making customers really happy and building a lot of referral partners. And when you do both things well, digital marketing and what I call like hustle marketing, which is building relationships and all that, that's when you can be wildly successful. And the great thing about the 5 R's of revenue and relationships and referrals and repeat business and all that is that they're free. Once they're developed, it's free leads.
100%. And I know that people really, if they do a good job, especially in the franchisee business, if you own a franchise and you do a good job and you are responding to your phone calls, you're a nice person, you tell the truth, you do all the things that, you're reputable, you do good work. Of course, you want to make sure you do good work. The business will come back to you, but you've got to do all of those other things to make it happen.
And then it's customer service, man. Like I've been in business a long time. For the first, I think it was like the first 7 or 8 years, I never ran a single ad. I just had happy customers who talked about me.
Oh yeah.
And I like to tell this one story of, there was this community of about 40 homes. It was like a senior, you had to be like 65 years old to live in that neighborhood. And I painted a house and did a great job. The customers were really happy. They said, you should go talk to Joanne across the street. And so I went and talked to her. She needed just a few things done. And so I went ahead and did the job for her. And I noticed just some extra stuff. I had the ladder out while I was doing touch-ups and whatnot. So I offered to change out some light bulbs on her chandelier while I had the ladder out. I offered to swap out the batteries in her smoke detectors since I was already going to be up there. And I did a few extra things like that really kind of just like blew her away. Like she was just so like pleasantly surprised that I was thoughtful and did more than what I had estimated or charged her for. She was so ecstatic. She insisted that the HOA president, she like took me over to his house and she insisted that I do all the work for the whole community. And then she started like talking to all the other neighbors and referring me. And so like the HOA, like the fences and some other things like that had to be done. So I was doing that work. So I was regularly in the community. And then she kept referring me. And then as I was doing more jobs, they kept referring me. I ended up doing paint work on like 39 or something, or 38, 39 of those 40 homes. And some of them I did multiple jobs on. And like, and I tell my franchisees all the time, because like we're good at marketing. We have a marketing agency. Our brands are like fresh. They're modern. They're like really built for the next generation of homeowners. They connect with customers really well. But at the same time, I tell my franchisees all the time, there's nothing better than a happy customer. Like the very best form of marketing is a happy client or a happy customer who's out there raving about you. And they're going to talk about something tonight when they're with their friends. They're going to talk about something when they bump into their neighbor at the mailbox. They're going to talk about something when they're at the bar with their friends. Why not have it be you? Like give them a story. Like go above and beyond what the average home service professional does. Do something more, something that really causes them to like be like, wow, this company is different. And then what happens is they will literally rave about you, but nobody talks about the average. Nobody talks about boring, service that they got. They talk about those special moments. And we call it that when painter living our promise. Our promise is to go above and beyond and do more than anybody else would in home services. And so, that to me, I think like the best marketer on this planet is 93-year-old sweet Joanne.
It totally makes sense. I always tell my team, I'm like, hey, look, you're going to make a mistake, and that's fine. We understand that people make mistakes. Mistakes are bound to happen. It's what happens next that really counts. And you've got it. I don't know if you've read the book by Ken Blanchard, Raving Fans, but when you have a raving fan, you have someone that will go to the nth degree, they'll go out of their way to promote you because you've changed a light bulb or a smoke detector battery, and you've done the things. Hey, you may not even be in the smoke detector or light bulb business while you're painting a house, but you know what? You got the ladder. Why not create a wow factor, a wow moment?
Yeah, it's just, or even just little things like dusting off like high ledges or dusting off the chandelier and doing little tiny things that we do, like cleaning up from like, for example, like one of my project managers, he noticed that the customer's hose was like all chewed up. And so he just replaced it and then told her, he's like, I was on me. I was already at Home Depot. It was $20. Don't worry about it though. I just replaced it for you. The customer would be like, the customers are shocked that you did something thoughtful, and then you get tons of reviews and you get tons of referrals. And you know what? It's a $20 hose is a lot cheaper than paying Google, or Facebook for ads for leads, when you can just have a happy customer for a very low cost or a little bit of effort, and they go ahead and refer you like crazy.
What you do with one thing, you do in all things. And I want to talk to my community for just a quick second, if I can, Steven, because I'm going to sing your praises here. Because let me tell you, nice guy community, for a person that is out there as a professional, as a craftsman, as a contractor that's doing this out at houses,
Yep.
dusting a high shelf, changing a light bulb, changing a smoke detector, nice guy community, as he is as a contractor or a professional, he is as a franchisor. That is exactly the type of person that you want to be involved in business with, because when you have somebody that is teaching their team, hey, look, do whatever you can just to take their money, sell the deal, close the deal, smile and dial. The shit that we teach, that we've learned so often in sales 101, how do you get more business? You just keep banging on doors until they answer the door. Yeah, will that work? It might work temporarily, but it's not going to work for the long run. Doing the stuff that Steven is talking about, I know, without even knowing Steven as a business person, I know that he runs his franchise business this way as well. I'm just
Yeah.
curious what your thoughts are on that.
Thank you for saying that. That's absolutely true. Like our methodology, I guess, in our approach to franchising, which is a very different business than home services, right? So like as a franchisor, it's all about coaching and sales training and helping them build teams and systems and procedures. Like it's very different than just painting a house. It's like a big shift. And so as we got into it, my business partner and I, we launched it, and what we kind of from the day one notice is we took a bet that if our franchisees were really happy, that everything would work out really well for us. And we just went all in on that bet. And so, I mean, from literally, there's been franchisees who they're getting a bunch of declines on their estimate. And I've had executives on my team who've heard, hey, this franchisee is struggling. And they go into their declined estimates and start making phone calls and closing deals for them to get their spirits back up. My chief sales officer, he had a higher close rate on one of our struggling franchisees declined estimates than the franchisee at that time had on his open estimates. And then quickly that franchisee got things turned around, is doing really well. But we just, our bet has been from the very beginning that if we could go all in on making our franchisees feel really supported and ultimately really successful, that it would all turn out really well for us.
How experienced do you want your franchisees, the ones that you're prospectively going to sell a franchise to, how experienced do you want them in the house painting, the garage renovation, the window cleaning, beyond business? Do you want them to be very experienced, not experienced at all, somewhere in between there? Tell me what you're thinking.
95% of our franchisees had no prior home service experience.
I love this.
Yeah. And so it's a couple of the ones that had experience, like it's almost like you have to retrain them.
You have to untrain them from all the bad habits that they've learned.
Exactly. Right. And so 95% had no prior home service experience. And we like it that way. And many of them didn't have any prior business experience. Some do. Some own multiple businesses and are very successful. Some own other franchise brands, and this is another investment for them. But many are first-time entrepreneurs as well. And so that's all fine and good for us. Also, what we typically are looking for when we're looking at their application, and then when we're interviewing them, is that they have some level of team building experience, and that they've displayed leadership before. So it could be nonprofit work. It could be that, they've led a team of 10 at their last job or whatever, but we're looking for somebody who's led and built teams. If they've done that, then it's really just, we'll teach them and their team more about painting or garage doors than they ever wanted to know. Trust me.
I got it. So you come in, you're not only teaching them how to build the business, you're teaching them how to do the business too.
Yeah. We'll teach them everything they need to know on that end. Plus, like a lot of what we do use a good amount of subcontractors with the painting business, which is our largest business. And that we're training them how to recruit and find great subcontractors and really build a great team. They're not going to have to be the ones ever painting. None of our franchisees are doing the physical labor. They're really more on the sales and management side.
I love that you said that. I was not aware of that. I'm glad I really fine-tuned that with got down to the brass tacks on that one, because for me, the idea of owning a franchise has always been It's just something that I wanted to do, but the doing of the work, I'd rather be a team leader and somebody
Yep.
that's out there. But again, I don't know about house painting or garage renovation. And I'm sure there are many in my community are thinking, well, I'm not a painter, I'm not a renovator, and I'm not a window cleaner. So I don't know that it's for me. But what you're saying is it's okay. That's not what we're not looking for you to paint houses. We're looking for you to lead the team that you're going to find to paint houses, renovate garages, and build clean windows.
That's exactly right. Yep. So we don't want our franchisees to ever pick up a brush and do any painting. It's really, and some of our franchisees, they're not even the ones doing the sales or the management. They have managers in place doing that, and they're really in more of just the ownership and oversight of the business. And so we've got kind of different models built out. We call it we have like an owner operator model. We have kind of like an owner manager model where we've got a small team, and then we have what we call our CEO model. So some franchisees are buying 5, 10, even 17 territories. And each one of those territories has a manager and a crew or a few crews. And they're really in what we call like a CO role where they're building a big team and they're doing something large. And so we have franchisees with one territory and doing really well. And we have franchisees with many territories that they've now launched and are really in a position of leading a sales team and leading an organization of that size.
Just from a 35,000 foot approach, why is it that you decided to go into the franchise business and not into either the licensing business or into, you just running it from a central office? If they're not the ones painting, they're the ones that are managing. Did you find that having local presence was much better than having a national presence where we didn't really have your hands in that specific neighborhood?
Yeah, I did look a little bit into some other models that are similar to that. Franchising is a special thing, and it's regulated by the FTC. And so a lot of people in the franchising world joke that licensing is what people do when they don't want the rules of franchising. So,
Got it.
But the truth is that the model that we had was already really proven out by other home service franchise brands. And so, and licensing didn't seem to grow nearly to the same size that some of these home service franchise brands had done. So there's another one in the painting industry that does nearly $1 billion collectively between all of their franchisees. You got 1-800-GOT-JUNK. I think they're like 600 million. Budget
Wow.
Blinds is $1 billion brand with 1,000 franchisees. And so as I was studying it and looking into it, the potential on franchising because of the way that systems are built and how strong the agreements and all that kind of stuff are, it has so much more potential than licensing, and that's what was really attractive to me.
Is there a range that somebody could anticipate that their investment would be that you're okay with covering? Is it something you'd rather do on a phone call? Tell me, how does that work?
Yeah, so for that one, Painter and Garage Up, there's subcontractor model, so there's not a lot of equipment. So it's with the franchise fee, 90 days of like operating expenses, all of your marketing, your grand opening, all of that, everything you would need for launching the business and the first 90 days. You're going to be looking at about $113,000 to $140,000 per territory to launch. For the window washing business, there you have a little more of equipment, and it's an employee model, so a little bit more overhead. I believe it's about 120 to 150,000 to open that one up. So a little bit more there, but yeah, that which are pretty standard for home service franchise brands. They're typically in that same range. Some are even more expensive than that. And then, the profit margins obviously vary greatly based upon the franchisee's performance. But, in painting, typically like we're seeing like 17% on like my corporate store and stuff like that. So pretty good margins. And then window cleaning, it's a little bit lower revenue, but the margins can be 30-40% on that.
Yeah, that's I was going to say a lot less expenses going into that than I think I spent like almost $70 on a gallon of paint. Windex.
Yeah.
Windex and cleaning materials are a lot less expensive.
Right, exactly. You got Dawn soap and water. It's a little different.
Right. Totally understand that. And I'm assuming you have a fairly significant success rate with your franchisees. Do you find you're buying many or any back?
So when we've had a couple of franchisees for like health reasons or family reasons that needed to sell their locations. We've had stuff like that pop up. You're gonna, even in the healthiest franchise brands, you're gonna have probably about a bottom 5% or so that churn out every year. That's normal. So we have a little bit of that. We have some resales that have happened. Overall, like our franchisees are performing really well. Obviously, we're a newer brand. We've grown extremely fast, but our first year franchisees are outperforming our largest competitor in their franchisees in their first year. And they've been doing it for 25 years of franchising, and we've been franchising for 3 years. And our first year franchisees outperformed their first year franchisees. So we've been seeing a lot of success. We've grown rapidly. We're at 400 and almost 50 units, franchise units across the US. And we did that in 3 years.
Incredible. What a great success story, and what a humble guy, and just a nice guy on the other side of this. So, Steven, I so appreciate you sharing. One final question, just about getting involved in the business. Assuming you have some relationships with companies that will do financing also for franchisees, or is this cash that they need to have to bring to the table?
Yeah, we don't do in-house financing, but we work with some financing companies so like we work with like a company called like Fran Fund and Bennett Transit, some others that can get them financed. Those companies will also help them with the SBA process and all of that. So we have many franchisees that go through a financing option. Typically, you're going to need a down payment and all that kind of stuff too, but they'll walk the candidates through that process. We're not super involved in that other than in the introduction, but yeah. Yes, so we definitely have some assistance there as far as what they could do.
That is terrific. And again, nice guy community. Don't let money be the reason. Look, I don't have $115,000 sitting in the bank, so I'm not going to call Steven. Don't let that be the reason. There are options and opportunities, and you make your own luck. So I promise you, if this is something that you want to move forward on, or you want to have a conversation, have the conversation first to get excited about the opportunity. Everything else seems to work itself out all the time, all the time. So if this is something that you want to do, what's the best way for somebody in our community to reach out to you, Steven?
ResiBrands.com. So RESI brands, BRANDS.com is the best way. And they can reach out. They can read about our different brands. They can look at the investment ranges. They can fill out the form and everything there.
All right. So we'll put a link in the show notes so that you guys have access to that. Steven, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and your brand with our community. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man.
Hey, Steve O'Brien, take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Fill up your week with the nice guys. Have fun storming the castle, boys.